And we're back, boys. Episode 3, Parlay Parlance. I'm your host, Zach, joined by Shayan, Nitul, and Dits. Boys, how are we doing today?
Doing all right. How have you
Doing
been?
well. Excited for some football talks.
Football talks.
All right.
And so do we.
Well said, Cheyenne. So we've got two topics on the agenda today. Number one, some hypothetical dynasty trades, and then we're coming with some bold predictions. So we've been crafting them, and I think they're pretty good, pretty bold. But let's do the hypothetical trades first, shall we? So I came up with a couple from each of your actual dynasty teams. Natul, let's start with you. Maybe give the people a little bit of an insight onto your team, how you've been building it over this past off season.
Coming into the off season, I had the 101 and I took Ashton Genty. I traded away
Flex.
some picks. I've been trying to craft a team that can rival. I guess he's the winner from last year, right? I'm trying to rival a very strong team, and I didn't have any running backs. Now I have HN and Genty. Um, I have Neighbors. I have Puka, recently acquired, Godwin, and JSN, and Sam Laporta. So, I'm definitely trying to contend this year. I don't have many picks left. At one point, I had the most picks. So, that's my team in a nutshell.
All right. And yeah, I think, the good thing about having the three of you here is all of your teams are in a pretty different situation, right? Natul, your team's very much win now. Cheyenne's team is probably somewhere in the middle of a rebuild and a win now. And then we've got Dits, who's clearly in a rebuild of his own, and it's going great. Let me just say. So I think Natul, it's like from my perspective, it seems like the thing to do is to go all in this year, which is what you've been doing. So here's a hypothetical trade for you. You trade away Chris Godwin, your 27 and 28 firsts, and you get back Ladd McConkey. Walk us through if you would do that trade or not, and why.
Yeah, I mean, Calvin Ridley or Godwin, they're both getting kind of old. I think this year they can still put up numbers, but they're aging. Ladd, on the other hand, young and putting up even better numbers. So, you know, he's still a little, don't get me wrong, he played great, but he hasn't played great for years like these guys have. So that's something of slight concern, but not too concerning. Two firsts is a lot to give up here. If I'm trying to win this year and only this year, you know, I might be okay with Ridley or Godwin, but with the upside of Ladd's entire career, I would fight to go, Ridley or Godwin, interchangeable to me, a first and a second rather than two firsts.
Okay.
Just downgrade one of the first to a second, and I like this trade. To me, a first is much more valuable than the second.
How much does it impact things knowing that those firsts are likely late in the first round? 110,
Right.
111, 112. Is that enough?
If I get countered with that, then I guess I'd say it's okay. I'd maybe ask for a third in return.
Okay. And Cheyenne, you are the Ladd McConkey owner yourself.
Ugh.
Is this a trade that you would offer? Would you take either Godwin or Ridley plus two firsts for McConkey? I know you're a big fan of Ladd, but where would you stand on that?
Well, I'm definitely not a big fan of Ridley. Let's talk about Godwin in this situation.
Okay.
He's good. He's good. There's no doubt. He's old, which is probably the main concern there. Again, what's good for my team? I'm trying to win in kind of a couple years. That's my mentality. I'm kind of in between situation you mentioned. Now, if we're talking about pure value, I'm giving away Ladd McConkey, and I'm getting two firsts, and I'm getting a really good receiver, probably equal-ish to Ladd McConkey in terms of points produced. I think it's fair. Would I do it? I'm still getting some picks back that I could use to build my team up. But if I'm looking to win in a couple of years, I don't know. I think I stick with Ladd McConkey here. Although I would have to think about it a lot. I'm not leaning one way or another, but if I had to decide today, I'm sticking with Ladd.
Sticking with Ladd. Okay. Dits, do you have any thoughts on that trade if you were on either side of that? Which way you'd lean?
Yeah, I guess before I answer, are we just talking about this trade just from like these guys, or like considering like what the rest of Cheyenne's team also looks like?
I guess based on what you know of their teams, which team would it favor more?
What team would it favor more? Okay. Knowing what I know about both of them, I think this probably favors Nitul.
Hell yeah.
With that being said, I think if I was offered 2 firsts for Lad McConkey, in addition to one of these guys, I think I'm still like decently high on them. Like I'm not expecting Ridley or Godwin to be my wide receiver one. Like let's just say I get like one pretty good season out of, like worst case, like I get like a pretty decent season out of them this coming year, and maybe 2 years from now, who knows? But like having 2 firsts for Lad McConkey just in and of itself is just, I mean, it's great value. Like I think if I were offered this and I was giving up Lad, I'd probably take it.
Even if it's likely to be late first round picks?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
are you saying win-win for both?
Yeah. I yeah. Yeah. I think it's probably better for you if you're getting McConkey knowing what I know about the rest of your team. But I don't think it's necessarily a loss for Cheyenne.
yeah. Yeah, I did try to make these as fair as possible, at least in my head. Curious to see what you guys think of the next ones, but I'm hoping that it's at least close to most of you. So let's go to Cheyenne. Cheyenne, your team, like I said, is kind of in between. You've got some good pieces. You've got Joe Burrow. You've got Chase Brown, Amon Ra, prior to a blockbuster trade that just happened. But Alad McConkey, Jamison Williams, and a bunch of picks, right? So you have definitely a good core, but maybe not super competitive right now, especially at the running back position after Chase Brown. So big trade that I came up with, and I kind of took this two directions. One is if you decide, hey, I want to try to win now. And then one is if you go, I'm just going to go for the rebuild. So we'll start with the win now. Hypothetical trade here. You give up 2 firsts next year, a second in 27, and Jamison Williams. And you get back Saquon Barkley, James Cook, George Kittle. So 3 older players, but Saquon likely to finish RB1, 2, or 3 this upcoming season. James Cook, still a pretty solid running back. George Kittle, older, but probably still a top 5 dynasty tight end. So curious, is that too much to give up for those guys, or would you consider doing that trade?
I would consider that. I see the vision. If that's the direction I'm going, I would definitely do that trade. I think it's an easy definitely for me. I mean, George Kittle, even if I'm going a longer term option, I think he's good. He just got a contract extension for 4 years, right?
Yep.
And he was the 3rd ranked tight end last year in terms of receiving yards. That's pretty significant. So I'm not worried with George Kittle at all. I guess the bigger worries would be what would those 2026 firsts turn into? I don't know. For my team, I don't know much about the 2026 class, but I don't think it's going to be one that is going to be too beneficial for my team composition specifically. So I think I would take Saquon Barkley. I mean, he's going to do well for me. Eagles utilized him probably to his optimal ability last year, and I think they're going to continue to do the same. James Cook, I love the way he played last year as well. I see no problems with this trade. I think this is an easy one for me. I would definitely do that trade if I'm going the win now mode.
Okay. Let's pull the room to Tool Dits. I know it's not your team, but just looking at it, do you guys agree with that, or would you go the other direction?
I don't think I would give all those up for these guys. I mean, Kittle's what, like, I mean, I know he had a great year, but I mean,
He just
it's like,
became a father,
yeah,
and he has a second wind.
yeah.
It just occurred to me though. I didn't see the JMO part. This changes things.
Okay.
I think I'm still doing it. But
Okay.
with the knowledge
Can we get
that I'm
a
giving up someone.
Can we get a recap of what this trade is for the listeners and viewers?
Yes. So it is Cheyenne would trade away essentially 3 firsts, so 2 this year, 1 next year. He has a lot of picks right now, along with Jameson Williams, to get back Saquon Barkley, James Cook, and George Kittle. So if you think about what this turns Cheyenne's team into, obviously he won't have much down the road, but his team would look like, Burrow at quarterback, Saquon Barkley, James Cook, and Chase Brown at running back, McConkey, who's your other receiver, Cheyenne? Amon-Ra, Kittle. It's a pretty stacked
That's a
team,
Wow,
right?
stacked
that's
team.
beastly.
That is
Yeah.
a stacked team.
Certainly guaranteeing a playoff, probably guaranteeing a finals match. I mean, I guess you can never guarantee a finals matchup, but it's probably as close as you can get to guaranteeing it. So
Now I'll tell you what's not stacked is my bench. So if one of these players gets injured, I might be cooked for the season and for the whole premise of this trade.
yeah.
Shayan, you're one
Okay.
trade away.
One
One
trade
trade
away.
away. Okay, let's flip it the other
One
direction,
trade
Cheyenne. So let's
away.
say you decide I'm going for the Dits. I'm going for the rebuild. See me in 2028. So let's flip it. You trade away DeAndre Swift, Chase Brown, and Amon-Ra St. Brown, and you get back 3 firsts, so a 2026 first and 2 27s, along with Marvin Harrison.
Man, I don't know about that one. I don't know about that one. I look, I'm always a guy who loves potential. I think it's so easy to get drunk on seeing people's potential and not seeing what the current values are.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, I don't know. I don't think Amon-Ra St. Brown, like alone, I think is worth at least 2 firsts.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm giving that and DeAndre Swift and Chase Brown, and I'm only getting let's say 2026 first, 2027 firsts, and Marvin Harrison, is that equal? It might be, but I'm not seeing the vision there. I think I would keep my team and then either look for the win now opportunity or look for another trade. I'm not big on. We discussed this last time too, but I'm not huge on Marvin Harrison, not because of him, but because of Kyler. I don't think he knows how to maximize his value. Now maybe they'll be running like a different scheme that involves him more this year, but it has yet to be proven.
And
What
that's
do you
why I
guys
put
think?
him in there, because I feel like, I don't know, but I feel like Dits would go the other way, because I think he's higher in Harrison. I also am higher on him than you are, but I'm probably somewhere in between. Dits, how about you? Would you take the other side of that, or
So you're saying taking
would
the
you take
Marvin
Harrison in the picks to give up DeAndre Swift, Chase Brown, and Amon-Ra St. Brown?
I think I would. So I'll frame it this way. I think this whole debate comes to whether I think Marvin Harrison's going to be good. And as someone who does think he's good, I'm not saying I don't think he'll ever be Amon-Ra level good, but I'm saying like, I think, okay, fine. It's not crazy in a dynasty sense if I think Marvin Harrison will meet his potential. This man was like, what, 104 in our league last year? Or no, sorry.
Here's a
He was
101.
10. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, my bad. Yeah. 101.
He's a bum.
Or, yeah, he went before Caleb? Anyways, okay, I didn't realize it. I don't remember that. Okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
he was first.
But yeah, going back to this, then I think this trade becomes a matter of DeAndre Swift and Chase Brown for essentially 3 firsts. And I think that's just off of value. I'm like, I just don't think I can pass that up with the disclaimer that I think Marvin Harrison's going to be good.
So let me ask you. You said if you basically take it down to Swift and Brown for all those firsts, which means you view Amon-Ra and Marvin Harrison pretty equally.
That's
I would imagine
crazy.
Cheyenne,
I'm not saying the
you
same.
don't.
Like definitely a tier below, but with like an upside of like okay, like being him, even if he's like a top 10 guy going into the future, like fine. That I'm happy with that.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Yeah,
a big if though. Whereas with Amon-Ra, you know what you're getting.
Yeah,
You're getting top 10 production.
But it's the second part of this trade where I'm like Swift and Brown for 3 firsts. And that's really good.
Yeah. I mean, just the way I see it, like when I was coming up with it, is like Cheyenne said, I feel like Amon-Ra is probably worth 3 firsts, roughly. So then it comes down to Chase Brown and Swift for Harrison, which for me is an easy Harrison, which is why I would definitely lean towards that
Agreed.
side. Nitul, what say you?
I'm with Cheyenne on Harrison. I'm not big on him at all. I don't think he's good. And I don't think, maybe he's talented, but, not a good fit on the team, which means, for fantasy purposes, not going to produce much. So I would rather keep Amon-Ra in this trade. The first, that's nice, but you use first to try to get a player like Amon-Ra. I think Chase Brown is good. DeAndre Swift, not so high on him, but I wouldn't trade them away.
Okay. So Cheyenne, based on those two, it sounds like if you were to pick one of these two paths, you'd go for the win now. Is that
Listen, if
a
these are my two options,
yeah?
then I'm gonna cry, but I'm gonna choose the win now mode.
Okay. I thought you said you would definitely do the win now trade.
I don't like it. I love my team, man.
Oh,
I
okay.
get
Okay.
attached to those. I'm an emotional fantasy football player, which is obviously the optimal way to play.
Well said. Okay. Okay. Well, just giving you some options. You can sleep on it tonight. Send out some trades. Dits, on to you. The rebuild. So this one I think is interesting. Maybe tell the folks a little bit about your team right now, how you've ended up in your situation.
Yeah, so this was my first ever Dynasty League when we started this 2 years ago. So I think although I was able to create a really really good team these last 2 years, I traded a lot to make my team really good in that first year. Like one thing, I traded a lot for Hawkinson and Amon-Ra, and in that process maybe devalued picks a little more than I probably should have. So I ended up with the team. Like I had Josh Allen, Mixon, Kamara, Najee Harris. I traded for Najee too after his rookie year where he was really good with the Steelers. So got rid of a lot of my picks. And then fast forward to like now, this past year, where I realized like I don't have any picks for like a few years. So I've started to take my team, sell my team a little bit for some future capital. So I'm not left with a team with like 30-year-old running backs, or like at least two of them and then one non-starting running back in Najee. So definitely have taken the approach of like a slow rebuild while not fully tanking my team, although like I fully expect to be the last place team in our league this year. But yeah, that is where I am currently.
Okay. Yeah, and
I see anything?
I took that in mind as I came up with this trade. So through the lens of, rebuilding, obviously you have to give up some good players now to get younger players or picks. So, I spent some time looking at your team and I was thinking, man, how can Dits fix this situation? And there was one thing that seems drastic, but I think it might make sense. So let me know what you think. You trade away your two kind of middling running backs, so Najee Harris and Jalen Warren, a second next year, and then the big one, Jaden Daniels. You part with Jaden Daniels, who one of the most valuable dynasty assets, right? But in return, you get back JMO, Egbuka, and Harvey. So three young players, but you're basically giving up probably the best quarterback in dynasty.
Probably going now, just because I think that the only guy that I'm like, I need some pieces on my team where I'm like pretty confident. And I think the only guy that I'm fully confident in is Jaden Daniels. And I
Mm.
don't, and I think my backup is Trevor Lawrence, but I feel like I have to start from somewhere.
I
So
mean,
I
the
would want to
key
start.
word is only player he's confident in is Jaden Daniels.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
Just
think
rub
it's
it
because
nice to
in.
have three
hey, God,
that you're
Go ahead,
confident
you
in.
go.
yeah. um, or like I'm saying supremely confident going into next year. I think he's like my blue chipper. I'm still high on my other like few of my other guys, but I am just trying to take a stance of okay, I need to rebuild my team. I need to do this the right way. Like I mentioned before, I definitely did not value these picks correctly. So, but with that being said, I don't want to complete like my team is already at the studs. I just don't know if I need to trade away Daniels for probably the oldest rookie ever. What are we like 29 looking at 30? Like what are we with Harvey? I'm
Yeah.
kidding. I like Egbuka, but that's a lot.
Unproven.
Jaden, like he's going into a second year. It's not like he's a 5 year.
Yeah.
It's not like Josh Allen, But
Cheyenne, what do you think of this one? If you were Dits, would you part with that big name Jaden Daniels to get that rebuild going, or would you stick it out with how his team currently is?
You know, I did mean what I said when, you can't rely on just Jaden to build a team around. Well, let me rephrase. You can rely on just Jaden he's good. But I mean, if
As the
that's the only
Commanders.
good person on your team, what are you doing? You need some more players. But I don't know if you're getting enough, honestly, for this haul. He's so good. And he's like, if you look at a super flex league, which we're not, but if you look at a super flex league, he might be the top pick or within the
Yeah.
top 3.
Yeah.
So even outside of a super flex league, he's easily within the top, maybe like 6 or 7. So, I mean,
I think there's a case he's number 1.
he might,
Like
yeah.
we talked about last episode.
I'm trying to be very maximally conservative here, but yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you. And I just don't think you're getting enough. I think again, I see the vision, but I don't think you're getting enough.
Maybe just one thought, and the reason why I felt okay putting Daniels in this is it's like you said, you do have Trevor Lawrence. Obviously, he hasn't been great, but when I was thinking about this trade, obviously it's a big drop off to go from Daniels to Lawrence. But is that drop off larger than what you're gaining from? I'd say JMO is like a pretty solid wide receiver 2. Harvey, first round pick this year in rookie drafts, not in the NFL. Buka also a first round rookie, so you're getting a lot back. But I guess it depends how you value Trevor Lawrence as well.
Yeah, no, I mean, not to step on a future, like our next segment coming up soon, but I do think the Jags are going to be good. It's just that Jane's a superstar. Like you don't just trade him for like a few of these kinds of pieces.
Okay.
So I want to ask it, what would it take for you to take this trade? What would you need to add there on the other side? Or is that not even close?
I mean, I just don't. I'm like the Jameson
Are you like
Williams I
one or
got
two
in.
firsts away or something?
Yeah, I mean, maybe like if you throw in like maybe 2 firsts, but like I don't think this trade exists. Like maybe if it's like 2 firsts, Egbuka, and maybe another young rookie. But I don't know, like Loveland or someone like that.
Keyword
Like,
young rookie.
yeah, no, yeah, exactly.
He doesn't want Harvey.
Yeah, I think I'm a little closer to that. I don't want to give it all these guys up for like a wide receiver 2 and Jameson Williams. Egbuka I like, but I would say picks, maybe 2 picks, at least. Yeah, something along those lines.
So just to clarify, so the current trade as it is are there any firsts involved? I'm not. No firsts involved. Wow.
It's basically like Egbuka and Harvey were just 2 first round picks. Harvey usually went 107, 108, Egbuka 109. So you're basically getting 2 mid firsts and JMO. So, and to me, I would view JMO as roughly equal to a first right now, like a late first, at least in my head. So it's kind of like 3 firsts for Daniels and a bunch of like
trash, a bunch of trash,
a bunch of garbage. So I think it's close, given that he has a decent backup with Lawrence.
Yeah.
But if he didn't have that, I think it's like an easy no. But with Lawrence, it makes it more interesting to me.
Fair enough.
All right, Nitul, you crafted one for me, I believe.
Yes. So Zach's team, and I'll let you speak more on it, but how I viewed it was not rebuilding fully. You were at one point. Maybe win now, but a young team. So I have to see how some of these players really start up this year. So contending within a year or two is what I saw. What do you have to say on that real quick before we get into the trade?
Yeah, so I guess some context. My team, I have Lamar, I have Derrick Henry, Kyron, and Brees. And then I have the two rookie. I had a lot of first round picks this last draft, so I have Tet and Hunter and Loveland. And then I
keep going.
I've got some young running backs, Hampton and Henderson. So basically, like most of the first round on the team, and then not much proven wide receiver depth. I have Waddle and Judy, who are both kind of like we don't really know how they'll be. Like obviously, they've had flashes of being very good at various points in their career, but yeah, the way I view it is like I think it's definitely in a position to contend now, but it's definitely not the best or second best. It's probably like somewhere in the 3rd through 5th best team, and I view it as probably best or second best in a couple years from now.
So based on that, would you trade away Kyron and a 2026 high first and receive Bucky Irving and Matthew Golden?
When you say high first, do you mean late first or early first? Like my current first, which is Dits's, which is the 101, or
Too soon.
Brutal.
maybe it'll be the 102. You never know.
Well, if he trades away Jaden, definitely one.
Yeah, that's an interesting one, because like if it was, no offense, Dits, if this was like probably anyone else's team's first round pick, I would say no, or sorry, I would say yes. Like I would take Bucky Irving and Matthew Golden just for the shot at it being like the 101 or 102. I'm like pretty hesitant to give up that pick. I definitely view Bucky as an easy step up or 2 steps up from Kyron. But I think for me, I'm just going to hold on to the pick. But if Dits were to make some trades and get some more assets now, I'd probably be fine trading away that first and Kyron for Bucky and Golden. I don't love Matthew Golden. I kind of view him and Reed and Watson, like Dobbs and Wick, like all those guys kind of the same. Like they're all, I don't know, low end wide receiver 2s in my head. So I don't really want him, but I could probably flip him around for a high second or maybe even late first if someone likes him a lot. So
I don't know what the Packers are doing with all those dudes. Like, package them, trade them to teams that need it or something. Like,
But I mean,
yeah,
the offense is good. I don't think it's just
it's
not like
good,
a
yeah.
fantasy offense. So
yeah,
Yeah. They're
That's
all good
true.
players.
I don't mind the actual team in real life. It's just not like a fantasy offense you want to fuck around with too much.
So you're saying you won't take this trade, yeah? Because of the
I
potential for it to be a 101 or 102.
think so, but it
Okay.
is also scary knowing that Kyron could essentially be worthless in a season or two if this contract stuff doesn't go well.
Right.
But I'll take the risk, I think.
That's what do you think about that?
I
What
think
would you
it's
do
the
if
right
you were
choice.
Zach?
I would keep it.
Even if this contract stuff doesn't go well, he's going to find a place on the team, I think. I know, you have your thoughts about these late round running backs. It's just they're so expendable. Me even saying that out loud kind of makes me reconsider. So I'm a little scared now. Ultimately, yeah, I think you made the right choice, Zach.
Also,
I
like in
think,
terms of
yeah.
go ahead.
Go ahead. No, keep Kyron the first. That's what I'm thinking.
Like in terms of like Zach's actual team, what does Golden, Waddle, and Judy really mean too? So that's
That's the thing. Kind of, yeah. It's the that first could be a big difference maker. Whereas, I mean, Bucky is too, but getting Golden doesn't really do much for me. It's just like another potential
Yeah,
Waddle or
exactly.
Judy, like Did said.
Dits, do
Yeah.
you feel sufficiently humbled yet?
I'm
I
done. I'm
never
done
thought
trashing
my-
his team for today. Most likely.
Yeah. I mean, again, expect my team to be bad.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Well, that's some hypothetical trade talks. That was good. Maybe we'll do that again later on. I'm sure we'll make some trades and have different teams a couple months from now, anyways. So let's do some bold predictions. Dits, I
Real
feel like
quick,
yes. Go ahead.
if you're enjoying this episode so far, like it, subscribe on YouTube, on Spotify. That's where we're at right now. Apple Podcasts coming, maybe some other sites too. And I'm going to start up social media soon as well. So catch us there. Best way to know what we're doing is to subscribe and stay involved. And tell us what you think about these hypothetical trades that we just went through in the comment section.
Appreciate that. Good call out. Bold prediction
Back to
time.
you.
Thank you. Dits, I feel like you had a game to play. You had a question to ask us, right? So I think let's start with you.
Okay.
And then we'll just go around. We each have 3 bold predictions for the 2025 season. So not looking at Dynasty, at least none of mine were. I don't think any of you guys were Dynasty focused here. So just 2025 season. Bold predictions that we think could happen. We're not saying they will happen, but more likely than most would think, I think is probably a fair way of saying it. Over to you, Dits.
All right, cool. So I wanted to ask you three, kind of like a blind player sort of evaluation and just get your guys' gut reactions on how you think this player did, or where this player ended last year in like the overall PPR rankings. So I have 3 running backs. I'm not going to tell you who is who, but I'm definitely curious to get your guys' thoughts on where you think this person landed. Okay, so running back 1, we're gonna start, or let's do running back A. Well, just for the purpose of our discussion. So running back A had 207 carries, 1,009 rushing yards, 200. Oh, let me go back. Sorry. So running back A had 207 carries, the 19th overall, amongst all running backs. 1,009 rushing yards, 16th overall running backs. 258 receiving yards, which is 28th amongst all running backs. 32 receptions, which ranks 33rd amongst all running backs. Was on the field for 236 run snaps, 21st out of all running backs, and was on the field for 248 pass snaps, which ranks 38th amongst all running backs. So I think when you look at this running back at like a high level, you see like pretty like underwhelming kind of stats. Like the highest ranking this person was like 16th in rushing yards. So just like I just wanted your guys' gut reaction to
Well, was
like
he injured? Was this player
no,
injured?
no, they weren't. Yeah,
Okay.
gut reaction. Where do you think this player landed in fantasy as a running back?
What do you
Based
mean
on
by
that,
landed?
what did they finish as? Based on those, right? You said not much receiving, rushing was decent, but nothing crazy. Middle, I think 16th. You said sounds like a flex type of player. I would say.
It's like what? Running back.
Like
Uh
28,
yeah, 30,
30.
something like that.
I'd say like maybe 15. I feel like it's a little rare that you get the combo of being somewhat okay at the passing game too, receiving game rather.
Okay, cool. And you guys are saying within running backs, right?
Within
Yeah.
Okay. So this person ended the year as the RB8
Wow.
and 28th overall. Okay.
Wow.
All right. And before I tell you who that was, I just want to ask you guys a few more questions similar to this ilk. Okay. So that was running back A. So running back B, we're going to go with even more carries, 7th most carries in the NFL, amongst running backs at 263. Had more yards, 1,043. So only about 40 more yards than running back A, but still more. Had more receiving yards, about 30 more receiving yards than running back A, at 283. Had 4 more receptions than running back A at 36. Was on the field a lot more for run and snaps, 303 versus the 236 for running back A. That was 7th most amongst all running backs. And more pass snaps as well, just a little bit more, about 15 more pass snaps at 263 compared to 248 for the running back A. Where do you think this running back landed?
Yeah, I didn't hear touchdown count for either of these guys.
Yeah, we'll get
Yeah,
there.
I feel like we're getting set up.
Gut reaction. He must be better. He must
Okay,
be
so running
sixth
back A
or
was,
seventh.
or
Yeah.
I mean, based on that, he's got to be
He's an upgrade.
top 5, top 6. But we're
I
missing a
would
key
think
metric.
so.
But it's tricky.
I agree. I think we're getting set up, Zach.
Yeah, I feel like we're gonna get played on this. Whenever Dits has his little games, it always ends badly for those playing them.
yeah. So where do you guys think?
Look at that cheeky smile.
He's up to no good.
Let's say sixth.
6? Okay.
I'm gonna stay at 15 again.
Okay, good. Okay, this was the running back 20.
Whoa, you
Shit.
got us.
Not only running back 20,
Wow.
he was, hold on, I have the overall number. He was the 74th overall fantasy player.
Whoa.
What are we doing, boys?
Whereas RBA that we went discussed just before this was 28th overall.
Wow.
Hmm.
So
Okay.
28 to 74. Or sorry, 69. You know.
Okay. Go off.
Stay thirsty, kids. Okay.
I'm waiting for the big
Chad, if you
reveal.
didn't get fooled by
Yeah.
Dits, put it in the
Yeah, I
comments.
have one more. I have one more just for you guys, just to prove it to you guys that this maybe not have been, this maybe wasn't a fluke. So running back C also has more carries than running back A. So this running back C has 235 versus 207. Also has more rushing yards, 1,079 versus 1,009. Has 9 less receiving yards, 249 versus 258. Has 7 more receptions, 39. Was on the field a lot more for run snaps, 276 versus 236. Was on the field for pass snaps, 100 more plays. So 358 versus 248. Where do we think this player ended up?
Sounds pretty close, right? Like it sounds like all these guys are, first guy was 8. Sounds like this guy is like, 10. Right? Same.
Yeah.
Same.
Yeah.
I agree. I have no sense for what's going on anymore.
Okay. This was the running back 23.
We've been
So-
played.
Yeah. So running back, who do you guys think running back A was?
I think
Chase
I know.
Brown type.
Maybe you can tell us how many touchdowns they got. That might
Okay. Yeah.
answer the question.
Running back A got 16 touchdowns, led the league. Running back B, who was running back 20, had 6. And the running back C, who we just went over, had only 2.
Well, I know
how.
A is James Cook because it was only him and Derrick Henry that had 16, and I know Henry did better than that from a rushing perspective. So that's got to be James.
Yeah. It is James. Who do you guys think running back B was?
You said 2 touchdowns?
That was C, but we can 6. Let's do it.
6.
Order. So 263 carries versus 207, 1,043 rushing yards versus 1,009, 283 receiving versus 258, 36 receptions versus 32, run snaps 303 versus 236, and pass snaps 263 versus 248.
My guess is Joe Mixon.
Yeah, sounds like an Aaron Jones. Actually, Aaron Jones had more than 6, but Aaron Jones type of guy.
Okay, it was Najee Harris.
Najee.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
okay.
nasty.
Garbage Harris.
Yeah. So my second RB C, running back C, who had 235 carries versus 207, 1,079 rushing yards versus 1,009, 249 receiving yards. The receiving yards were about equal. 7 more receptions, 39 to 32. This running back only had 2 rushing touchdowns. Was on the field for more run snaps and pass snaps. So 276 versus 236 for the run snaps, and 358 versus 248 for the pass snaps. So who do we think this is? This was the RB23 and number 74 overall.
RB23, like a low end RB2.
Well, like,
This is
I
brutal.
don't even know. Javante Williams
who
or
only
something.
had 2 touchdowns? That's the
He
thing.
might have been better than that.
I like that. I like Javante.
Lock
was
in
it?
Javante.
It sounds like it wasn't Javante from Dits' non-reaction.
Give me a player.
Javante.
Okay, everyone's going with Javante. You're
Brees
not
Hall.
gonna guess
Brees
it.
Hall.
No, it was Rico
Brees.
Dowdle.
Oh, Rico.
God.
Yeah. So I wanted to ask you guys these questions for leading up to my main point, which is to lead up to my bold prediction, in that I don't think James Cook is going to end up he is not going to be a top 20 running back. He ended the year as RB8. Like, this man will not end the season, 2025 season, as an RB within like the first 20 RBs. So I wanted to bring out like all these stats also because like okay, maybe this guy was still on the field as much, but you compare like guys to Rico Dowdle, who was just like he's lapping him on like the amount of like snaps he was on the field. Same thing with Najee Harris, and you're just like, oh, maybe like just through volume, like the guy got more carries, whatnot. But really, the only difference here is the touchdowns.
Mm-hmm.
My fear for like new fantasy players is that like you see James Cook, what he was last year, he's on a great offense. He's with Josh Allen, Dalvin Cook's brother. He's like the, the sexy player, new sexy player who's just recently broken out. But like when you look at his underlying stats, it's like, man, like this guy was like, I mean, he was very efficient, granted, but like, man, like if the touchdowns don't hit, like, man, like this guy's value is very, very murky. And I think right now, if you ask most people, James Cook's probably going with late second round. But I
Mm-hmm.
caution all new fantasy players, like if you draft James Cook in the second round, be prepared to like draft Rico Dowdle and Najee Harris. Like, don't be the guy who drafted Rico Dowdle in the second round because James Cook couldn't like deliver on his like touchdown promise.
Yeah.
So that is
I
like
will say, as an owner of James Cook on my team, like our main league team last year, it was so scary. Like he ended up doing all right, to your point, Dits, but it was always like, why is he not on the field? They're rotating in Ray Davis or rotating in Ty Johnson, and then they bring in James Cook to get 16 touchdowns. And like the story always was, James Cook can't get touchdowns. I think he had like 2 or 3 the year before. That was something really small. So that like outlier season happened in both directions. Realistically, he's probably like a 5 or 6, maybe a little more than that touchdown guy. 16 is just not going to happen, especially if they keep doing this like 3-headed monster. So I like that. I would have to agree. That's a
yeah,
good
and
one.
like my last point is like I mentioned, Rico Dowdle was like Najee was the 69th overall player in fantasy. Rico Dowdle was 74th. And if you look at James Cook where he ended, he was 28 overall. That's like
Mm-hmm.
like a 4 or 5 round difference in like productions. Like if James Cook isn't able to hit on his touchdown production from last year. So
Yeah.
it just a little exercise I just kind of wanted to go through with you guys.
It also goes to show if you think a player's going to be the go-to for touchdowns, their fantasy value will exponentially increase, even if
Yeah.
other players have more time on the field and more yards and receptions and whatnot.
It's just scary. You just don't want to be watching, hoping that they
Yeah,
get
that's
stopped, that
terrible.
Josh Allen gets dragged down at the 1, and then they bring in James Cook. Like you don't want to be living life that way.
Yeah. I just think you're gonna hate yourself if you drafted Rico Dowdle in the second round. That's all I'm
Yeah.
It's such a gamble. I mean, touchdowns are like the most unsure stat, for maybe for some it's obvious, but
For very few.
for very few. Yeah.
All right, Nitul. Let's go to you, Mr. Bold himself, and give us your favorite of your bold predictions. We'll try to go through all of them, but if we don't make it, we'll save part 2 for the next episode. But give us
All
a
right.
banger to
Let me
start
take
us off.
cover 1 second.
Who knows what he's
I'm
about to
going
say?
with one here
For now,
for the
yeah.
episode or for okay.
I'm
All
scared.
right.
Build up his
I'm
narrative.
picking this one not necessarily because it's my favorite, but because it kind of builds off of what Dits is saying in a way or two. I have everyone prepare. Jordan Mason, strong RB. So I came across a quote and a statistic from Next Gen. It's the rushing yards over expected per attempt. And on that list, first you have Derrick Henry, and this is for 2024. First you have Derrick Henry, then you have Saquon Barkley, then you have Jordan Mason, followed by Chuba Hubbard. So this is a statistic that they've created that kind of shows like what they were able to do more than like what they should have been able to do. Obviously, Derrick Henry and Saquon are just absolute monsters, and they're breaking tackles left and right. This is kind of showing that Jordan Mason also has a strong ability to force missed tackles. Their Vikings are going to see that, and they're going to value that skill. And I think they're going to play him more. Additionally, you have Aaron Jones there. He's 30 years old. He's saying that he's good to go. He's making jokes about it. But, I mean, he's 30. He can only do so much at that age. We might see some decline from him by the end of the year. Last year, Jordan Mason stepped in for CMC when injured. He went off. He played amazingly. And you might say they had a great O-line on that team. Anyone can step in and do great. The Vikings have done a great job this offseason in bolstering their O-line. So, they have a new center, a new right guard. On top of that, a first rounder that they drafted for their O-line. They could potentially, as long as they don't get injured, they could have a top 5 O-line. Which, having a running back and a great O-line is always a good formula for success. And I'm hearing that he's also going to be the go-to for goal line work, which builds off of Dits' great point that touchdowns show great fantasy results. So yeah, Aaron Jones is still there. I'm not saying Jordan Mason's the RB1 on the team or even an RB1 in real life, but I think he will be a strong RB2 and people undervalue him, and you could get a good deal from him on the waivers. I mean, on the trades and potentially in the draft, in your fantasy draft. So that is my first bold take of the day.
I don't hate it. I don't know if I agree, but I don't hate it. I think like to that point, when you get later on in the draft, like last couple rounds, which is probably when you could get Mason, you're kind of playing it for upside. Obviously, there's the injury concern with Aaron Jones, given how old he is, but that potential upside of, hey, maybe he takes some carries away from Aaron Jones, some touchdowns away from Jones. I could see it. I think that's what it comes down to. I think we'll know pretty early on in the season, barring injury, if your bold prediction is either really good or really bad. Because we'll see, we don't know how Camp's going to go. If he's looking better than Jones, he might win the job. Like, who knows? As of now, everyone's saying Jones, and that's where I would lean. But I could definitely see it hitting if things go well, and I could also see him being in RB60. So I don't hate the shot. Like if it's late in the draft, taking the chance on him, and we know he's good. He was good in San Francisco. The rush yards per expectation or over expectation, you can't fight him being on a list with Saquon and Henry. So
Right.
I don't mind it.
I will add to that, with Aaron Jones's injury history, it would be wise of them to not use him like a bull and put him in situations where you're gonna get tackled. Use him regularly when you're expecting holes and him to just run. But at that goal line is where these running backs take a lot of damage. So it would be smart of them to keep him healthy so they can both play and both be involved and have success together. We see a lot of 1-2 punch duos, Montgomery and Gibbs
If
and
he doesn't want
whatnot.
to get tackled, he should go play golf.
Amen.
Expert analysis there.
What do you guys think?
Listen, I don't know, man. That one might be a little bit out of my. I don't know if bold is
Too
even the right
spicy
word
for
for that.
Cheyenne.
I'm just saying it's going to be really good or really bad. I don't know which way is more likely, but
I'm, Jordan Mason. I'm gonna call him Jason Mason. Why I don't know, but I don't know how I feel about him. He was a good stand-in for CMC at his time on the 49ers. Aaron Jones, he's still doing well, man. He's picking up that role at 30 years old. I don't see a reason for Jordan Mason to be involved that much. That's really the big thing. I mean, if he's injured, maybe it'll be a little less bold. But
you know what's
I
going
don't
to
know,
happen?
man.
Aaron Jones is going to get injured, and Mason's going to break out, and Nitul is going to come back in 8 months from now and be like, guys, what, you shouldn't have doubted me on my Jason Mason pick.
But then his
Jason
take
Mason
should have
all the
been that he
way.
would have been an RB1, not an RB2.
Yeah, not bold enough,
That's
Nitul.
true.
Not bold enough.
Yeah.
I was told to keep things realistic here.
And that
Or
was his
medium
first,
spice.
his first choice. Got to respect the boldness.
This was the one he presented.
Yeah. Well, I'm expecting you to draft him in maybe the 4th or 5th round in our main league draft.
Yeah.
Nitul.
Every league. Gonna be on
Okay.
my bench.
Yeah, you should see who has him in Dynasty and go get him.
Where is he in Dana? Do you know?
I can't say I've been tracking him too closely. That's gonna
Okay.
that's for you to
Okay.
figure out.
This
All
is
right,
good.
Shayan, you want to go next, or you want me to go next? Yeah, you're on mute, bud.
That'll do it. You can go, Zach. I'll
Okay.
ponder mine a little more.
Okay. So this is one that I think I've mentioned to all of you so far in the past couple weeks. Dits, we actually, the Dynasty team that we co-manage, we went out and we traded for this guy during the rookie draft. And I liked it. I thought it was a good trade. So my bold prediction, I think he's a pretty hot name too. I've seen talks of him having a breakout season this year, but I'm fully on board. I'm saying
he's white.
Okay, I'm saying Ricky Pearsall finishes as a top 20 receiver. I was thinking about going top 15. I think that's just a little bit irresponsible to make that claim. So I'm going top 20. You know, he was the receiver 82 last season. Admittedly, he only played in 11 games, but a lot of things I like about Pearsall. One, Deebo Samuel off the team. Two, Ayuk. I don't like that he's hurt, but he is hurt. He tore his ACL and MCL, I believe, week 7 of last season. So I was looking up some stats on these two. So Deebo Samuel, 20% target share on the Niners offense last season. Ayuk, 19% target share on the offense last season. So those two players are gone. Deebo's gone all season. Ayuk's gone at least the first month, most likely, depending on how fast he can heal up, TBD. But I would guess he'll start the season on the pup, miss the first 4 weeks. So that's 40% of the team's targets from last season that are just totally vacated. So who will come in and fill that spot? Obviously, Kittle, he's good. CMC is back. Can he stay healthy? I don't know. Do his legs work? I don't know.
I like my running backs to have Achilles, both of them functional.
Yeah.
Oh.
And you just don't know with him. So to me, Pearsall is the guy that steps in. They have Jawan Jennings, who's solid. He's like a good wide receiver 3. Nothing against him. But the way I see it is Pearsall steps into that role, especially for kind of what Deebo left behind last season.
Can we get an explanation? Why do you think Pearsall over Jennings might step into that role?
So I think a lot of it comes down to, well, there's two things. One is when they actually drafted Pearsall, right? They drafted him in the first round, first overall in the draft 2 years ago. Like, I think we forget this man got shot in the chest and had a bullet go through his chest out of his back, and he still played football by week 8, right? Like,
Wow.
and he's coming into a pretty complicated offense as a rookie, competing for targets with Kittle and Ayuk and Deebo, and he still like had some good games, which I'll get to in a second. But so I think that's one, right? He was drafted to be great. Even his like actual metrics, like his combine metrics, he was 95th in shuttle percentile. He was 9th in vertical jump. He was 90th in 40-yard dash speed. So like you don't think of him because he's kind of like that, smaller slot guy, but he's like a great athlete that I think could fit really well in the Shanahan offense. And just based on where he played last season, it was 74% of snaps he played in the slot. That's where Deebo played last year, mostly. So that role fits in nicely for him to come in, take those Deebo targets away, and yeah, have a great season. Couple other key points just to touch on real quick. He ended the season insanely. I don't know if you guys remember the last 2 games of the year.
The Chiefs game?
Yeah, it was, I think, Chiefs and Cardinals. He finished in those 2 games. He had 14 catches, 210 yards, and 2 touchdowns.
He was awesome, yeah.
Yeah. I was going back and looking at, who in their rookie season has finished the season that strong. And it's like Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jamar Chase. Like, it is the best receivers in the game right now, right? And then last thing I'll mention, I think a lot of it comes down to how he starts off the season while we wait for Ayuk to come back. First 4 weeks, he plays the Seahawks, the Saints, the Cardinals, and the Jaguars. Saints and Jaguars both bottom 5 last year in giving up points to receivers. Seahawks, middle of the pack. Cardinals, also middle of the pack. So starts off with a bunch of opportunity, building off of a strong end to the season, a bunch of open targets. Seems like a way, if you can actually do well those first 4 weeks, seems like a good way to start off the season. We saw Ayuk, even before the injury, he was already kind of fading out. Like, I don't know what you guys think of Ayuk. To me, he's like a huge question mark. I think it's more likely than not that Pearsall just usurps him even when he comes back. And then just last thing, like if you look back at kind of the like Shanahan's scheme, right? The whole Shanahan coaching tree, and Dits, you can probably speak to this too. The Shanahan McVay system. If you look at some other guys who are like Pearsall now, but in past seasons, it's guys like Cooper Kupp, it's guys like Chris Godwin, it's guys like Amon-Ra St. Brown. All three of these guys started off slow that first season, ended strong, saw vacated targets, and fit this offensive scheme of
Puka.
yeah, Puka too. So that's kind of my thoughts on Pearsall. Breakout top 20, maybe even top 15 receiver next season.
And he's going at wide receiver 47 right now. So, you have time to draft him and don't rush necessarily. But in Dynasty, I did try to trade for him, and I think his owner did know his potential value, so I was not able to snag him.
Yeah.
So
Yep. All right. So that's me. Cheyenne,
I like it. I like it.
on to you. Thank you.
All right. I wrote down 2 on that right there on that doc that we have, but that one I'm actually going to present here is not located there.
Off script.
Off
You love to
script.
see it.
We're going off the script. Who do you think had the highest yards after carry last season amongst
Yards
all
after
players?
catch or yards per carry?
Sorry, yards after catch.
Amongst all players or like
All
wide
players.
receivers?
All players.
In my
Yards
head, it's
after
Brian
catch.
Thomas, but I don't know if that's right.
This is it's an obvious. This isn't the person, but
Oh,
it's
like-
going to lead there.
So the player who had
maybe
the
not
most
last
yards
year with
after
Tyreek
catch
Hill.
last year?
Yeah.
I don't think it's Tyreek.
Jamar Chase at 787.
Jamar Chase.
Crazy. The next one is 665. Big drop off there. Devon Achane. Next we have 597. Kind of an unexpected guy there. Khalil Shakir.
Huh.
I was considering him. And then we have Brock Bowers, 596. And then we have
Big
588.
cock Brock.
Absolutely, big cock Brock. And then we have 580. Sorry about that. 588. And who could that be? Who could that be? I'm accepting guesses at this time.
Malik Neighbors.
588.
Yeah. Let me tell you this. He's not someone that finished top 10 last year in fantasy.
I'm gonna go DJ
Jamison
Moore.
Williams.
Wow. Aditya. Beautiful guess, because that is
Is it
correct
DK?
answer. Yeah,
What?
it is DJ Moore.
Okay,
Wow.
I remember like
DJ.
seeing a
DJ Moore.
stat about this at some point.
Yeah. I mean, last week we were talking about how Caleb Williams has been doing increasingly better as a rookie, and we have high hopes for him this season. I think you convinced me, Zach, that I'm actually a little higher on Caleb Williams than I initially thought. I looked at his stats. You have some even in the stock. He improved from the first half of his season last year to the second half, 83.1 QB rating to 95.3. I think it all comes down to how he's doing. And if I trust in Caleb, then I think DJ Moore is going to see a big boost as well. Keenan Allen is gone.
Did you just snipe my stat?
Did snipe your stat.
That's crazy.
Was that off? Is that off limits?
No,
Is there
go ahead.
stat sniping?
No, go ahead, snipe. I'm just gonna
My
go and
Lord.
snipe your Chigo Conquest.
Do not ever talk poorly about Chig Okonkwo. That man plays RuneScape.
He's our boy.
Yeah,
He's a
the work
University of
ethic. That's how
Maryland
you
guy
know.
too, isn't he?
Yeah.
DK.
All right, sorry, Shine. Carry on.
Listeners, add Shayan on RuneScape.
Add me on RuneScape, guys. All right. Sad egg on RuneScape. There's a space in between. Yeah. I think DJ Moore is going to finish as a top 10 fantasy wide receiver. I don't know how bold that is, but given that he hasn't been as, living up to his actual talent that he has in terms of fantasy production, I think it's a relatively bold take, but it kind of relies on Caleb Williams and this new Bears offense, this new O-line that they got, maybe Keenan Allen going out, freeing up some of the target share, although they did just draft Luther Burden. I think DJ Moore is going to set an example for Burden there, show him how experienced vet produces in fantasy.
Not sure Moore's gonna be setting an example, but as a person who has famously rage quit on his team multiple times this season last year.
No. Let's not. I'm not talking about the character here. We're talking about. But
Okay.
I do love my guy. He's from Maryland. We all went to Maryland here.
I like it.
Big respect. I like that one. That's a good one.
I think that does lead directly into my next one. So maybe
Considering he took your
I'll just
stats.
hop right in, Cheyenne. This one was actually targeted specifically at you because
Me?
I think you'll vehemently disagree with my pick.
No.
So my second one is that I am projecting Rome Odunze to outscore. Do I go both? I've been debating between both or just one. I'll go with just one, but potentially both Lad McConkey and or AJ Brown next season.
Dun dun dun.
Either wait, so are you saying both or either?
I
Combined.
think either or is pretty bold either way. So I'm just gonna go with one. This is obviously barring injury.
Yeah.
I think both is just it's tough, but it's not impossible. Just a little bit about those two. Why I picked AJ Brown and McConkey. I love McConkey. Insane end to the season
Another
last
wide
year.
receiver. Okay, noted.
But well, I'm about to shit on him. The thing is, with the Chargers, right? Who did they have at running back last season? None other than my favorite Ravens duo, J.K. Dobbins, Gus Edwards. Probably two of the worst. Now, Nitul, I know Nitul loves J.K. Dobbins. I don't want to upset him here, but
Don't make me
J.K.
cry.
Dobbins started off strong, right? As the season went on, he like literally slowed down. he basically lost everything that was keeping him afloat to begin the season, right? So,
And in bed.
okay, yeah, you gonna take that, Shine?
Starts off
No,
strong.
I'm seething silently, but
Okay, so a couple stats on good old Jim Harbaugh, coach of the Chargers. Number one, even back to his Michigan days, they were second in rush rate in the FBS. Chargers, fourth in the first month of the season in rush rate last year, ninth overall rush rate, all of 2024. All Jim Harbaugh wants to do is just run the ball. So what did they do? They signed Najee Harris. They paid him $5 million, and then they used their first round pick to draft Omar Hampton, right? Who a lot of people are saying if Genti wasn't in the class, he would be a top 10 pick, right? So to me, it seems like that fits pretty well with, hey, this guy just wants to run as much as he possibly can. Who did the Chargers pick next? Trey Harris. Did you know I love Trey Harris? I don't think he's going to come in and take a ton of receptions away from McConkey. I do think he's going to come in and take some touchdowns away from McConkey. So to me, just the pairing of those two hurts McConkey's value quite a bit. And then with AJ Brown, it's kind of the same thing, right? This was a hot topic between Nitul and Cheyenne as trade talks were going on about AJ Brown, where the Eagles are just so good at running the ball and just defensively. They don't need to pass to AJ Brown a ton. They have Devontae Smith. They give Saquon his 25 plus carries every single game. If you go back and look at AJ Brown's game log, this man would have games where he was, 4 for 40, 5 for 38, 2 for 36. Like a lot of games where the Eagles smoked the other team, like 34-6, and AJ Brown didn't do anything. So I'm not saying he's a bad receiver. I'm just saying they don't need him. Certainly as much as I think the Bears need Odunze, right? Obviously, they have DJ Moore. They have a lot of offensive weapons. Loveland, they just drafted. Burden, they just drafted. So a lot of malice to feed. That's still true. I'm worried about DeAndre Swift on that team. I don't see him carrying that kind of like efficiency the whole season.
Too soon.
So I think, like Cheyenne said, with the offensive line, they got some new players there. Caleb Williams, I think, will take a step forward. They added Ben Johnson. So whether it's Moore or Odunze, I think that's a reasonable debate. But I think one of the two receivers, especially how we've seen Ben Johnson with the Lions just focus on Amon-Ra St. Brown nonstop, he's going to be smarter than the offensive coordinator was last year and give Odunze more catchable, short intermediate route plays versus just chucking it deep to him every time. So I'm seeing a big season from Odunze, and I kind of like how necessary he is in the offense over AJ Brown and McConkey.
I like it, except for the Lad McConkey slander. Although I do think you have a point there. Even with them drafting Joe Alt for the year before, they've kind of been stacking that run game a little bit. But sometimes when they do this, when they enable the run game, the whole game gets enabled as well. Like the passing game gets enabled as well. Now you mentioned Jim Harbaugh's a run type of guy. Maybe you're right. Maybe it won't go that way. But I have faith that if they enable the run game, defenses will have a tougher time, covering for both. So maybe the whole offense will get boosted. Ladd McConkey will see a boost as well. So we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
I still see the touchdown opportunity as pretty good for Ladd, especially because Herbert's a good quarterback and the offense, like you said, could be better. The issue I have, if you look through McConkey's game log, right? He's 5 for 39 week 1. Then he's 2 for 26, 3 for 44, 4 for 43, 5 for 46. He starts off like pretty bad while they're doing all that running. And then when Edwards and Dobbins fall off, that's when we see the 9 for 117, 5 for 58 and a touchdown, 6 for 87. He ended amazingly because they like literally had to pass so much every game. So maybe he falls somewhere in between that first half and second half. But I think with where Odunze could be, maybe he'll just pass him. I don't know.
I think this is why I won our other league. I don't know if you guys remember, I traded
I don't remember that.
Cup for McConkey just before he popped off. And just
Yeah,
says Cup.
that was a great trade by
Yeah.
It was like right when McConkey started cooking.
But the other part of the trade was I traded Jacobs for McCaffrey, and McCaffrey got hurt.
Hate to see that.
Yeah. And just as Jacobs just started being awesome. But I still won the league, so. And you
I
guys
don't
were
remember
all
that.
in that league.
Like,
Yeah.
I don't remember that even happening. But
I really don't remember that.
But yeah, a quick note, Zach, before you hop onto the next point. I really like the take just because of the AJ Brown stuff. I think I still love AJ Brown as a receiver, and like I think when he's used, he's awesome. But like some worrisome stats for me personally, I think he was targeted 36th amongst all receivers, only had 95 targets, not even 100. Didn't run a whole lot of routes either, 65th out of all wide receivers. Receptions wasn't all that great either, 30th in receptions. So 67, like when you think AJ Brown, that's not who you're really trying to go for. So I think with your take, like I do like your take also because like it touches on like the AJ Brown decline that I think maybe people aren't as aware of or in tune with just because of who he is as a player. But I think his pros are like 7th in yards per reception, and pass rating when targeted, he's a top 10 guy. So
yeah. But the man just wants to read his book on the sideline.
Oh,
He's just trying to read that inner excellence. If this was a points per page red league, he'd be probably first pick.
yes.
But I don't know. I just worry about those numbers that you gave. All right, Dits, how about back to you for your second one?
Yeah, cool. I think I kind of touched on this earlier. So I got my boy Big Cock Brock. So I just wanted to go over some stats that kind of put in perspective how insane his season was. So just off the top of your heads, like what do you guys think Brock Bowers rated overall in targets? Overall pass catchers. Or first, how many think do you have?
Target share?
Did he have? Yeah, how
I
many
happen to know how many, so I won't say. But I don't know.
Targets or target share?
targets?
He must have been like 150 something.
What do you guys think, Shan?
You mean in terms of his ranking or is the actual number there?
We'll do the actual number and then the ranking after. But number first.
Give me a sec to think about this.
He's beastly, so I'll say 180.
It's wild. I'm gonna go with 128.
Okay, it's actually in the middle. It's 153.
That was close.
So what overall percentage do you think this was in the league?
What ranking?
Amongst all pass catchers.
All pass
Sixth.
catchers.
I was going to say 7th.
I was going to say 10th.
6th.
Let's go.
Nice.
Yeah. And how many receptions do you guys think he had?
I know the number, so I won't say.
Okay.
Wow.
I also saw the number, so I'll leave it to Shayan.
Let's go with 100.
112.
Wow.
Where do you think this ranked?
Great.
That's got, you mean in terms of the
Receptions, overall pass catchers
overall
in the league.
receptions? Maybe like third, second.
Around there. Let's see.
So this is like you're comparing guys with like Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase,
Let's go 7th.
AJ Brown, or not.
We know it's not AJ Brown.
Yeah, and not AJ Brown, but Puka.
I mean, for any receiver,
Garrett
getting like
Wilson.
10 would be great, right? I don't know, 10 to 15. I'll say 7th.
I'm gonna go with fourth then. We'll
Amon
go with
Ra's
fourth.
in this category as well. But
I still think fourth.
okay, yeah, no, it's third. He was only behind
Wow.
Jamar Chase and Amon-Ra.
That's incredible.
And he was only like 5 behind Amon-Ra too. So like a few more catches, like he's probably second overall out of everyone.
What about yards after catch?
I can pull
If
that
you
up.
know.
I don't have that off the top of my head. But also like for yards, he had a 1,194 yards. I'm just gonna round up to 1,200, but he was tied for 8th with CeeDee Lamb. So another guy, like he really like lapped when it came, not lapped, but like significantly outperformed last year. So I think these are like really awesome numbers. Just wanted to give you guys these numbers. And another kind of cool stat I found was that within like all of these targets, 153 targets, he only had 4 drops. So the dude catches everything that's thrown his way. So some of his other records, to put it in perspective, I don't know if you guys know or but he broke the record for most receptions by a rookie tight end. So his 112. Do you guys know what the previous record was and who held it?
Wasn't it Zach Ertz? Like 109.
It's actually a lot more recent than that.
Kelce or Kittle?
The rookie tight end.
Rookie
Recent.
tight end?
More recent.
Sam
A
Laporta.
rookie tight end record.
Trey McBride?
Laporta.
Yeah, it's
gotta be
Laporta.
Laporta.
Yeah.
Nice, yeah.
Do you guys
My
know
boy.
how many receptions he had? So
Didn't
Bowers
he
had
just
112.
break it?
What was that?
Bowers had 112.
Or 87 maybe? I don't know.
Yeah,
Just kind of throwing
86.
numbers out there.
Oh,
Oh yeah?
it was that different?
That's
86,
wild.
yeah.
Wow.
So he outperformed like all rookie tight ends by that much. So now
That's
let's take this a
insane.
step further. Now I thought, okay, I mean it's a stat that is talked about somewhat frequently. So going to the reception for any rookie pass catcher, 112. He also broke that record last year. Do you know who that was previously held by?
All receivers and tight ends are saying.
Yeah, all pass catchers. Yeah.
Probably someone last season.
Yeah.
Like Waddle or no,
Two
not
years
Waddle.
ago.
Was it Waddle?
No.
Oh.
22.
Who was it? Yeah, Nakua.
At 105.
Yuka.
So I say all of these just to point out the fact like this dude had a ridiculous season, and I mean he's on the Raiders. Plus I think people know he's good, but I think he's actually closer to that like Justin Jefferson with like an unknown quarterback or some of those other guys, CeeDee Lamb, closer to that group of people than he is like maybe the bottom of the
Tight
second.
ends.
Yeah. So, and I think like there's a lot of room to be optimistic because he only had 5 touchdowns all season. So even if that, let's say like that gets to like double digits, we're talking like 10 to 12, like it's a massive, massive boost in where he ends up in the season. And to add on to that, only 6 end zone targets. So his 5 touchdowns also ranked 9th among all tight ends. So there's plenty of room to grow. And I think like usually when we see these trends where like a player feels real for like a 6, 7, in like Amon Ra's case, it was like he ended that season off really strong. Same thing with Puka. Like usually like when those guys are putting up these kinds of numbers, it tends not to be a fluke. This is Josh Gordon, shout out our brother. And I think not only that, I think the natural pushback to this take, my take being, I think Brock Bowers will end the year as a top 5 non QB fantasy player. So that is my take. Because I think his ceiling is so high. I think he is legit. I think we're talking like Puka Nakua plus Amon-Ra St. Brown in like his first few years, plus more touchdowns. So that's what I think his role is going to be. And like I was alluding to earlier, I think the pushback is like, okay, this is the new offense. This is Pete Carroll's offense, where they want to like run offense through a running back, and it's away from like the McVay Shanahan tree where it's like you run to set up the pass. I think this Carroll tends to be more of like a traditional run based team. With that being said, I think there are certain players you just don't ignore. Bowers being one of them. I just don't. I think Bowers is going to be. He is so good that you design offenses around them, regardless of if Genti's there. Like he is still your number 1 pass catcher. So I think that is my take. Like I was saying before, I think he's a guy that maybe goes in the second round because people are a little scared because it happened so quickly. His ascension happened so quickly, plus the Gen T new offense. But I think honestly, like if you can get Bowers in the second round, it's an unbelievable steal. But I think he's more honestly like you should be very confident taking him in the first round. So is that
I
bold
like your
enough?
read. I think Genti does, you said not many targets in the end zone, and that might be because the team was so bad. I doubt they got there very much.
Yeah. They
So
have Geno
Genti
Smith as a
definitely helps.
quarterback.
Yeah, Geno
He
Smith, I
knows how to
like
air it
him.
out.
He's good. And they have this new wide receiver, Jack Beck, or however you say it. I don't think he'll steal too much from Brock Bowers, but I think he'll be a good compliment if anything. So
He's the clear-cut number
good
one
take.
guy. Yeah.
Yeah, good
And
take.
Gino was able to support JSN,
Hmm.
DK Metcalf. Last
Yep.
year, Kenneth Walker was out in the
No,
backfield.
Gino's great.
So
I love him.
I am all in. I'm more in. So that is my take. Top 5 non-QB fantasy player.
I like that. And that was right along the lines of my last one. I'll just say mine super quick because it's very similar. And it was that for the first time in NFL history, the top two tight ends will combine for at least 600 fantasy points. So closest it's ever gotten was 2020. Travis Kelce, Darren Waller, back when he was great those couple of seasons.
Another Raiders tight end.
They combined for 591. Kelce that season, second best tight end season of all time, and Waller, sixth best tight end season of all time. So two top 6 seasons in the same season, still didn't hit this mark. But for everything Dits just said about Bowers, he finished with
My guess.
262. Oh yeah, how
Sorry.
many points did Brock Bowers finish with last year?
No, what I was gonna guess the second tight end that's gonna
Isn't it
help
like
out with this.
262? I feel like it was like
That
around
was
there.
Bowers, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead, Nitul.
I don't want to make you mad. Actually, I do. Brock Bowers and Kyle Pitts.
No, let's not. We said bold, not impossible.
Big cock Brock and big pitties.
Big pitties.
Ditz has hit his
Diddy's
quota of saying big pitties every episode, so that's good. Yeah, Bowers finished his season last year was the 8th best tight end season ever. Or sorry, not ever. This is since 2015. This is in the last decade. 8th best tight end season as a rookie with Aiden O'Connell at quarterback with only 5 touchdowns. So my prediction is him paired up with Trey McBride from the Cardinals, who finished 39 points, so only 13 less than Bowers, with only 2 touchdowns. I see this being a historic season for the two of them, breaking that 591 mark that Kelce and Waller set back in 2020, being the first ever to combine for 600. So you talked about all the things about Bowers. I remember watching him against the Ravens, thinking it was week 2 or 3, thinking I need to get this. I need to get this man on my team. Like, couldn't do it. I think he had over 100 yards against us.
At least we got the win that game.
Watching, yeah, and watching McBride, it was just so he was like most of the Cardinals' offense. Harrison wasn't clicking. Connor was great, so you can't forget about Connor. But I think he's another year older. He somehow stayed healthy all season, which I don't necessarily see happening again. If McBride gets from 2 touchdowns to like 8 or 9, and Bowers goes from 5 to 9 or 10, they're right up there with that historic 2020 season. So that's my final bold prediction along the lines that you just laid out, Dits.
I love it.
Yeah. All right.
Fantasy aside,
Yeah.
do you see Bowers as a better player than I don't even know if he's in his prime yet, but as a better player than like Kittle, Kelce, Andrews in their primes?
That's tough.
Like, is this guy gonna be like the best tight end ever?
We've only seen a season out of him, right?
Yeah,
Like
and we're
based off
talking
what
bold
we've
takes
seen,
today.
like he's at least Kittle. Like
Okay.
at the minimum, like at least what we saw last year. Like he's at least the Kittle.
I mean, we shouldn't sleep on Kittle. Kittle's pretty great.
No, he is.
But like what we saw with Kelce for the last decade was he runs like 8 yards, turns around, finds a spot on the defense, and Mahomes like improvises and passes to him. The fact that Bowers broke all these records as a rookie with basically no quarterback, like not even a good running back to take, they double covered this man every single play, and he still broke all these records. Like they added Genti. That's going to take some plays away from him, but it means they'll also have to stack the box on defense. They can't guard Bowers as much. They added Jack Betch, who's like pretty good. I'm pretty high on him. We got him in our Dynasty League too, Dits. Like, I just don't see, barring injury, Bowers getting worse. And you've got to think he's going to get more than 5 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Easily, like, I think he could easily get 10 going from O'Connell to Geno Smith, who's a competent quarterback. So I can't say best all time, but he really passes the eye test, and I wouldn't be shocked if he breaks Kelce's record.
See if he's a Gronk.
Yeah.
Next Gronk in the house.
Yeah. All right, guys, I'm thinking we wrap it up with one more. I know, Dits, you had one last one.
Yeah.
So let's do that. I know we're coming up on time, so do an abbreviated one. But I know you had some stats behind this one.
Yeah. So I'll make this quick. I think my last main take I had was that I actually think Travis Hunter and Brian Thomas Jr. It's a bold take. I think take being Travis Hunter and Brian Thomas Jr. will be the best wide receiver tandem next year in fantasy.
I love it.
Best.
I love that.
Yeah,
I
so
actually think that's very likely. I don't think it's bold.
Jamar Chase, T. Higgins.
Yeah. We have Jefferson,
Chase
Addison.
would carry that.
AJ Brown, Smith.
Yeah. There's one more. Pickens, Lamb is also there.
Yeah.
I
don't like Pickens though.
Yeah.
DJ Moore, Romo Dunze, Cheyenne.
Yeah.
Low key.
I mean, I guess so. Yeah, but it's definitely. I see it. I could see it happening. For sure.
Jamison Williams. There's a lot, and so I personally am quite high on Travis Hunter as a prospect, wide receiver prospect. I think he was awesome.
Cornerback prospect.
Yeah, he plays both sides, but his first 3 years in college, or his 3 years in college, he went from 21.1 yards per game to 80 yards per game, and last season ended the season at 96.8. Granted, he wasn't playing in the Big Ten or like the SEC, but still, I think the eye test showed me like this dude just catches everything. It's not like a gets open kind of guy like with routes, but dude just catches everything. And one of the other stats that I liked about him, I remember seeing a few months ago, was who Matt Harmon from the Football 301 podcast, one of those hosts or co-hosts, had this tweet a few months ago, explaining how successful Travis Hunter's route tree was, and I'll just read it out for like the listeners. So like his success, he just won a lot, 66.7% corner routes. Like kind of a go route, he won those 63% of the time. Post routes 80, dig routes 84.2, curl, which was actually his most utilized route, 6.6, slant 85.9.
You can do it all.
100%. Yeah, flat 100%, comeback 100%, out route 100%. And I want to just preface this with the fact that this was a very quick passing game kind of offense. The Colorado's offensive line was really not good at all. So there was a big priority of just like get the ball out quickly. And even in like those deep routes like that he would get, and like Shedeur would just get slammed. But he was just like a guy that caught everything his way, even if he wasn't like, he's like, Stephon Diggs, like just getting wide open, prime Stephon Diggs. The dude just was very successful.
I think Stephon Diggs right now is prime. Did you guys see that boat video?
My God, Big Daddy.
Daddy's in his prime right now.
Big Daddy. So yeah, I just really think and I think Brian Thomas is the real deal as well. I just don't. That dude was awesome. Dude's fast. Like, just had like wide receiver 1 written all over him. And I think maybe the case is like, okay, like Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, how are they not the best? And I had a few things with Jamar Chase. Dude was awesome. Like, as we all know, triple crown in receptions, receiving yards, receiving touchdowns. Dude had 1,700 yards, 127 receptions, led the league, and also led the league in touchdowns. Yeah.
You also have Puka Nacua, Devontae Adams. You also have, Jefferson and Addison. You think? I mean, do
That's
you
why
think
it's bold?
That's why it's.
I mean,
bold.
it's less bold than Jordan Mason. Sorry, Jason Mason, top
Jason
24.
Mason.
That's the standard he's set for himself.
Yeah. Where I think like when you think of like wide receiver tandem, I think I would think Chase Higgins, but I think I still think Jamar Chase probably ends the season better than Brian Thomas, but I think there is like probably regression. I don't even want to call it regression. I think the dude's awesome. Like maybe he's had like 1,600 yards instead of 1,700, but maybe like his touchdowns go to like 11 or 12, and like doesn't get as many receptions. He led the league in receptions last. Who knows?
Do you think Trevor Lawrence can support both of them?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, which leads me
I
to
mean,
my
he
next
would.
point.
Yeah.
They're in the Liam Cohen offense. We remember the Bucks last year. Godwin was cooking. Like
Yeah.
Godwin and Evans were cooking at the same time, and before both of them got hurt, they traded up. They traded a lot, as we all know, to go get Hunter. So I mean, following the money, like they have a lot invested in this guy, in Hunter. Whereas I think maybe the bet becomes like, do you think Hunter could be better than Higgins? Which I think, yeah, I get it. It's bold. I love Higgins. I'm very high on Higgins. We can talk about that on another episode.
So
But
Dits, let me just
yeah,
ask
go
you
ahead.
one quick question.
Yeah, go ahead.
If you think that Thomas and Hunter combined to be the best duo, why wouldn't you trade away Jaden Daniels if your backup is Trevor Lawrence in
Just
Dynasty?
thinking.
Yeah.
Trade him away. I'll take him off your hands.
Okay. We'll talk.
Okay, I'll slide in.
Yeah. So that's kind of my main thing with my main point where I think maybe Jamar Chase can still have the same season he did. Maybe it's a little less worse, or maybe slightly. Maybe it's not as good as what it was last season, and he'll still be really fucking awesome. But I think BTJ is just gonna be awesome, and I just am very high on Hunter. I think the offensive system he's walking into is really good. I think Liam Cohen knows how to scheme offenses, and I just think they're gonna hit the ground running.
I like
I
it.
like it.
I said that first.
I like it.
Even Shayan likes it. That's how you know it's good.
That's how you know it's milk toast. Not even
And if you don't like it,
On
put it in
the
the comment.
That's right.
Just a quick thing before I go. Since I was inspired by Nitul's take of like the Jordan Mason thing.
It's Jason.
Yeah, Jason Mason.
Jason Mason.
What is stopping us from believing that Dameon Pierce won't be an RB2 next year?
It's a good point. Nitul.
It's the rushing yards over expected.
Okay, all right, noted.
A great metric
He loves that
that you
stat.
should not fight
Okay.
against.
Okay, got you.
I would
Damian
almost be
Pierce is
willing to
slow.
bet you on that one, Nitul.
Hey, almost, but
I'd
not
almost
fully.
be willing.
Almost willing. Keyword.
Fair enough. All right, boys. Well, that was an episode full of bold predictions. Hopefully, all of you listening enjoyed. You can use those to, better your dynasty or just your redraft fantasy picks, or even use that to place some bets going into the season. So, I think that'll do it, boys. We're at time. You guys have any parting words before we sign off?
Big cock Brock for days.
Jason Mason.
Draft Jason Mason. No.
Only time will tell. Like I said, really good or really bad. I'll keep my thoughts to myself.
But we're bullish on the Bears. Bullish
But
on the
we're
Bears.
bullish on the Bears, yes.
Bullish on the
Better
Bears.
to be
Not
bullish on the
bearish
Bears than
Bulls.
bearish on the Bulls.
Absolutely.
Write that one down.
That's deep.
Say that again.
Oh, sorry, bud. You
Okay.
missed it.
You'll have to tune into the podcast to
Yeah.
hear it again.
And you'll have to listen from the beginning too. Don't skip.
All right.
All right. We'll be back. We'll be back next time. Thanks for listening. Like Nitul said, follow, subscribe, give it a like, whatever else you do on these platforms.
Like.
And we'll see you all next time.